gonna be all about me talking trash about your favorite books and you resenting me for it. Hey everyone, it's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the most disappointing books that I've read in 2016. I will also link down below the one that I did with the best books that I've read in 2016. These videos tend to be a little bit controversial, but to be honest, I think it's important to also talk about the books that didn't work for me, explaining why I didn't like them, why you might like them, and if your opinion is the same or different, please feel free to leave a comment down below. It's always nice to have a discussion on these books. So let's do this. Let me start with the obvious one, which is probably going to be on a lot of other booktubers' list because everyone was waiting for this book, and I would say at least half to maybe like 3/4 of us were very disappointed with it, and I'm obviously talking about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I was so disappointed. Like, I received this book and basically took the whole afternoon to read it right away, and I just didn't even want to finish it. This is a script of the play, so obviously it wasn't really a novel, so already some people weren't really into it, but to be honest, that wasn't the biggest pet peeve that I had with it. It was basically everything else. The only two things that I liked about it were the fact that, well, it wasn't written by J.K. Rowling, which isn't really a good fact, but I feel like she did accept to put her name on it, but to be honest, it was like nothing like her book. Like, the main good thing for me was the character of Scorpius, which is Draco Malfoy's son. He was absolutely awesome. It was definitely the good thing and the thing basically that made me finish the book. I loved him, but that was basically it. I didn't like the plot. I didn't like what they tried to do with it. It was kind of nice to feel like you were back into that world, but that really just didn't do it for me. If you are missing this world, I highly recommend watching the movie or reading the screenplay of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I feel like this will be a lot more satisfying than this was. And the fact that the characters were so out of character. Some characters were acting a way that was like, what are you doing? You would never do that. Like McGonagall, even Hermione, Ron. What the hell was wrong with Ron? Like, nothing was like working. The plot twist was so bad. Like, I'm not gonna say it, no spoiler, but like, thing that person did, that would have never happened. There's no way. I'm just saying it. So yeah, overall, really disappointed with it. A lot of them were asking me if it was worth reading it, and I've been telling them not to do it, and basically just watch Fantastic Beasts movie instead. That was really, really good. This was just, no, I will never read this again, ever, and I kind of regret reading it. I feel like it just frustrated me. There's gonna be a few painful ones. I'm new to booktube. If you don't know, it's been like almost 5 months now, and I've been enjoying hearing and seeing like reviews from other people, and I've been discovering certain things that don't work for me. I feel like the more you read, the more you learn what you like and what you don't like, and there's a lot of YA books that ended up disappointing me. Not only that, there's a few adult books too, but I've realized certain tropes that just annoy me to no end. So you're gonna see a pattern. Get ready, because this one is gonna hurt. Ready? Yeah. Everything by Nicole Yoon. I did not like this book. I enjoyed the beginning because the character was fun and interesting for me. You're basically following a young teenager that is allergic to basically everything, so she has to stay home. So you see her relationship with her mom, with her nurse, and she loves books and everything, so I enjoyed that part. I also enjoyed the fact that some of the books, there's like, trying to find some scene that is like, it's reading like emails and everything, so that was definitely interesting too. My biggest issue is that the storyline is basically, there is some new neighbors and there's a cute boy. I don't have any issue with contemporary YA love stories in general. Like in theory, I don't have issues with them, but I have an issue whenever it's like this and it's basically cute boy arrives in cute girl's life and he just changes her life, and that's the whole story. Just the whole like virginal girls and the boy becomes their whole life. That's my issue. I just can't deal with it. I don't feel like it's an healthy representation of what love or relationship should be. And I do think like teenage Emily would have enjoyed this book a lot more than I did. It just wouldn't be something I would recommend to any teenager around me or even adult that like contemporary romance. Also, what didn't help is that I saw the ending coming from the beginning, so I wasn't surprised, I wasn't shocked, I wasn't falling in love with their love story at all, so I really, really wanted to love it because everyone seems to do so, but I just couldn't, and I was basically disappointed. I had pretty high expectation because everyone was raving about it, but it just wasn't for me. This author is really, really popular, but unfortunately it seems like I might not be into his type of writing, which I'm still gonna read other one of his books because I do have a couple more. But this was so disappointing for me. I ended up reading this book, The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. In a readathon, I was trying to read as many books as possible, as many like short books as possible, and I was so disappointed with it. I had to force myself to finish it. In this book, you're basically following an older man that goes back where he used to live and then just starts remembering things that happened. And I like the fact that, you know, he was a young boy and likes reading and everything. That definitely seems to be something that I enjoy reading about. But everything else kind of felt flat for me. It was basically kind of fairy tale-ish, which I know a lot of people like. But I don't like whenever like magical powers that are like too vague, basically. I'm realizing again on the trope that I don't like these type of things that are just like mystical powers. It was definitely on the weird side, but not the good weird side for me, and it ended up being very disappointing for me. It definitely felt like a fairy tale, but I know a lot of people like his writing, but I was just not overly impressed or anything. So basically, just wasn't for me. The next book I read before I started my booktube channel, so you didn't see me read it during the last 5 months, but I wanted to talk about it because I was disappointed with it and I read it this year. I wanted to talk about Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella, which, if you don't know this author, you probably have heard about shopaholic type of books, which I enjoy them. They're fast read, they're fun, they're like uplifting, and this was definitely something different for her, and I didn't know anything about it when I went into it, so I have to say that obviously this one is a YA contemporary romance, so really not what she usually writes about, and right there I was a little bit disappointed, but that was my own fault because I didn't read about it before jumping into it. You're following a teenage girl that is suffering from anxiety, and I believe it's post-traumatic stress. Something happened, you don't know what it is. She basically refused to go outside of her house. She actually walks around with her sunglasses, so she doesn't want to interact with people at all. And then again, her brother brings out a cute boy. They develop some type of relationship, and my issue with this is, again, I really dislike the fact that the guy becomes her whole life and he's the reason she's becoming better. I'm glad, obviously, that the person is getting better, but it's just the fact that I don't think it's healthy, an healthy representation of how you should fix your issues. If you have mental illness, I do not think it's healthy to put all your remission into the hands of someone. Because if something happens between them, she's going to go back to where she was. She definitely needs therapy. Like, there's so much things that she needs, and I don't think it's healthy the way she fixes it. Even though I think it was really well represented, the character really seemed, from what I know, to suffer from those mental illness. It was definitely believable. Also the fact that it's great that we're finally seeing more and more books, especially targeted towards teenagers, that talk about mental illnesses. I just don't think it's a good thing to basically portray that finding a boyfriend will just make things go away and make things perfect, because that's just not how it works in real life. So yeah. The next book, I had pretty high expectation. I had heard that it was definitely terrifying and that it was really, really good. And although it was kind of terrifying, it was definitely really weird, but again, not in a good way. It was in a confusing way, and let me just show you. I read Hellacious by Jeff Vandermeer, and this is probably the weirdest book that I've read this year, and there's another one in the good side, actually in my most loved book of 2016, that was definitely up there, but I think this one wins. You're basically following 4 women that are sent into Area X. They're told that they are the 12th expedition, and every time people go in there to investigate, things happen. People either start killing each other or they kill themselves, and they just never come back, or if they come back, they are really, really strange, and like they're just not themselves anymore. So the narrator doesn't know the name of the other girls that she's working with, and they're just known as, oh, she's like the anthropologist, she's this, and she personally is a biologist. It is so difficult to tell you what this book is about, except for that. This is where I get confused. I know some people like the more mysterious a book is, the more terrifying it is, and definitely some bits were scary in the sense that you're like, what's gonna happen? But to me, I'm realizing that whenever something is left and they don't tell you exactly what it is, like, for example, like, if it's alien, tell me it's alien, I will find it scary, it's fine. but I don't like when things are left open just to make it more mysterious. Part of me just feels like, oh, the author just didn't know what to put that was good enough, so they just left it open, you know what I mean? So definitely something that is personal. But I've heard a lot of people also have like, I'm not sure what I think about this book, and it is a trilogy, and I'm not planning on reading the rest because from what I've heard, the first one was the best one, and if I don't enjoy the first one, I probably just should skip it, and that's what I'm going to be doing because that was just strange, and I'm not, although I'm still a bit curious to know what's going on, I've been told that I wouldn't really know much more, so that's... If you have read this book, please comment down below because I really want to talk about it, but I don't want to spoil it. Even though it's so strange that it's not really a spoiler. Plus some bits of the book was like really into it. I was like, oh, this is finally picking up and everything. Like it makes sense. And then it went back to the weird side and I'm like, I can't read this. Again, this is something I was reading in a readathon and I had to finish afterwards because I just couldn't get myself to finish it. It was just so slow paced in some bits and weird. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about it if you have read it because I still don't understand half of what happened. Last but not least, we're going back into the YA contemporary love stories, which you might wonder, Emily, why do you keep reading them if you hate them so much? And well, it's because not all of them, if you've seen my best books of 2016, you will have seen that there's some of them that made it to there. So it's definitely not every single book that I hate. I really want to love them, but I see certain patterns that just annoy me to no end. And obviously, virginal girl that finds love. Apparently that's really the biggest issue that I have. And Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, which again, I know this is going to be like something that people are like, oh my god, how can you not love it? I absolutely loved it. And I didn't. I enjoyed some bits of this book and some of the things really didn't work for me. So the main character that you're following is Kat, and she has a twin. They both decide to go to university and her twin wants to live that experience separately, so they basically have different roommates. And Kat suffered from anxiety, and I really did enjoy the fact that it was really well portrayed. If you suffer from anxiety or know someone else that does, you will definitely recognize, I feel like it was really well done. She writes fan fiction for fun and her blog is pretty big, and basically it's kind of a like Harry Potter fan fiction, even though it's different names, it's basically what it is. And I was expecting to really enjoy that and it ended up being such a flop. I forced myself to read the fan fiction bits. So every new chapter you would get a bit of the fan fiction, and I really thought I would like it and I was so bored. I know some people just ended up skipping them, but I really wanted to read them, and you could basically skip them. They didn't bring much to the story at all. So for the things that I like I said, I enjoy the fact that anxiety was really well portrayed. It's great that we're seeing books more and more about mental illnesses, especially targeted towards teenagers. I really enjoyed watching her relationship with her twin and her dad especially. I thought that was really interesting. Definitely liked that. I ended up kind of liking the roommate. She's not perfect, but I thought she was so unlikable that she kind of ended up being very likable to me. But I really didn't like the relationship between her and the boy. So yeah, I wasn't really a fan, well, at all of them together. It just felt like a weird mix. So overall, I was really disappointed because this seems to be a book that is raved about so much on BookTube. I never hear anyone mention anything negative about it, and for me it just really fell flat. I expected to love the fanfiction. Everyone was mentioning like, oh, it's Harry Potter, you know? No. I kind of have a loss of word. I just don't know what else to say. So again, if you want to discuss this, please feel free to comment because I have lots to say, but I just can't seem to think about more things to say. And I don't want to bash it because there were some good things, but it just was nowhere near where the hype was putting it, you know? So those were the 6 most disappointing books that I've read this year, which isn't that bad. 6 considering that I've read 50+ books this year. I might actually end up hitting 60 because I'm rereading Harry Potter right now, so I might get there, but like 10%-ish of what I've read, so not that bad. What about you guys? Which book have you read because it was really hype and ended up not doing it for you, or which book you just overall were so disappointed with? Please feel free to leave them in the comments because it's always interesting to talk about them. So that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and to subscribe if it's not already done, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.